Aengus, the poet, sees the world at like, you know. Unfortunately, poetry has been taught to us very, very poorly, like, because, you know, the essence of a poem, like, we learn poetry, like, just for, like, to get through an exam. Jesus, like, that's just such rubbish, like, poetry is a staff of life, you know, it's just, they say God gives the poet the first line, you know, it's just, like, it's just, the way we've been taught poetry, like, it was just so way out of it, like, but that's a story for another day, but I'll throw out the poem. When the black herds of the rain were grazing in the gap of the pure cold wind, and the watery haze of the hazel brought her into my mind, I thought of the last honey by the water that no hive could find. Brightness was drenching through the branches when she wandered again, turning silver out of the dark grasses where the skylark has lain, and her voice coming softly over the meadow was the mist becoming rain. That's it. When the black herds of the rain were grazing in the gap of the pure cold wind, and the watery haze of the hazel brought her into my mind, I thought of the last honey by the water that no hive could find. Brightness was drenching through the branches when she wandered again, turning silver out of the dark grasses where the skylark has lain, and her voice coming softly over the meadow was the mist becoming rain. Brightness was drenching through the branches, and the watery haze of the hazel, that was the line I was trying to think of. Like. And I was saying, you know, we get a time in winter, it's a winter image, you know, in the barn where we have all that hazel grown, like, and it's just, it was such an incredible line, bright, you know, the watery haze of the hazel, and in winter time you get that watery haze, like, you know. But that's Austin Clarke and The Lost Heifer. It was an incredible, silly first line for it, like, you know. I'll do Wandering Aengus. And Aengus, of course, was the Celtic god of love. And Yates, the poor devil, like a lot of his life, a lot of Yates's poetry was actually on fantasy. You know, I always, you know, said like the real, you know, the earth poet, the man that his poetry sailed on the cold front of truth was Kavanagh. No one could touch Kavanagh for that raw truth. And it was disturbing sometimes, like, but Yates then on the other hand wrote a lot on fantasy, which is fine and beautiful as well, like, but Wandering Aengus was the Celtic god of love, and he wrote this poem about Morgan MacBride, who was a French woman married to Sean MacBride, who was executed during the War of Independence. And he associated her actually with apple blossom, but it's a beautiful piece. And he says, I went out to the hazel wood because a fire was in my head, and cut and peeled a hazel wand, and hooked a berry to a thread. And when white moths were on the wing, and moth-like stars were flickering out, I dropped the berry in a stream, and caught a little silver trout. When I laid it on the floor, and went to blow that fire aflame, but something rustling on that floor, and someone called me by my name. It had become a glimmering girl, with apple blossom in her hair, who called me by my name, and ran and faded through the brightening air. Though I am old with wandering, through hollow lands and hilly lands I will find out where she has gone, and kiss her lips, and take her hand, and walk among long dappled grass, and pluck, till time and time is done, the silver apples of the moon, the golden apples of the sun. That's Wandering Aengus.